This is a homepage I designed for my 8th grade science class. I did the graphic design, decided what information is in here, and created all the background HTML myself. You can see my Bitmoji here, but I promise you I am not that handsome. Okay? You'll see some pretty practical things like a place to get information about the class or a place to access tech support if they have problems with their one-to-one device, but also a bathroom form that they can fill out before they ask me to go to the bathroom when we're in face-to-face instruction. The information and parents button are very similar, they just have different audiences. But you can find answers to simple and common questions, including video resources that explain the particulars of either Canvas LMS or the science course itself. They also have instructions on how to set themselves up as an observer, walking them through each specific step and giving them visual guidelines on how to do it. Some of these resources I took from the Canvas support page, and some of these I clipped out myself. Returning to the home page, we'll do what students do every day. They click on classwork, and they're taken to their big 3 steps. The first thing they'll do every day is they're going to use a Microsoft form to report their zone of regulation, which kind of tells me their emotional level. It's just a little social emotional check-in. If they forget how that works, they can always click here for an explanation of the zones of regulation, so they know what to do. After that, they're going to do their vocabulary word for the day. This is a consistent running vocabulary notebook that's built in G Suite. And in there, we see a Google slide, which I update with Slip and Slide, that shows them word by word as they move through the year. And they will add that word, and they're going to follow a vocabulary template based on Marzano's vocabulary word. After they've done their vocabulary notebook, they're going to go to their coursework. And this is always going to take them to exactly where they're supposed to be right now. Now, this module would be the only one that's visible to students, even though there's several more. In order to keep the pace up, I have the modules, everything in them, set to be due on Friday at 2:45, and then they will close on Sunday at midnight to allow students a little bit of time for makeup. You can see in the module settings that I have the students following this module in sequential order to make sure that they're building their skills step by step. Every day they're going to have a launch or warm-up, which some days is practicing with the simulation, some days it is doing claim evidence reasoning writing, but they'll always start there so they have a consistent way to start their day. And then they'll move on to their resources. I try to make as many things as possible have some sort of submission for the student. For example, they're watching this short video, which is under 4 minutes, to learn about frame of reference. They'll submit a photo of their notes into the file upload as the submission for this assignment. That lets me keep them accountable to even the smallest pieces of instruction, step by step. They have another opportunity for notes, and again, they submit that as well. And then they move on to their launch assignment, where they'll work with a graph using G Suite and answer that, which I'll then grade in SpeedGrader. I also like to utilize the whole G Suite. So for example, students are going to match these cards to the correct descriptions to start learning about motion graphs. Following that, they'll be given the correct answers, but they still have to respond to those answers. They have to explain why those two matched in a text entry, giving me another opportunity for feedback instead of just showing them the answers. They're then going to go on and work with the simulation. They've been instructed on how to sign up with this, and they're comfortable using this Google Doc format to work with that simulation. Once they've done that, they're going to go in and they're going to match more graphs and more cards with the skill that they checked earlier. So you can see the module allows us to go step by step and build that learning in a controlled way. Now, other modules have been used for introduction. They've been used to build up class expectations. And they've also been used to deliver specific science practices that the students can deliver back to. One HTML trick I'm really fond of is that these pages will start
As a
reading
scientist,
automatically.
you will be responsible for planning and carrying out investigations. Once you click,
and you can hear my voice there playing automatically to read that out loud so that my students that need read aloud don't have any extra burden to use that. We continue to flow through the modules using those class expectations with a set workflow chunked out in what an expected day looks like for each student. Modules can also be used to create discipline-specific lessons, like this lab. It starts off with a Nearpod to introduce vocabulary, but then moves on to a 5E lesson plan, starting with exposure to a phenomena and allowing the students to dialogue with each other both in person or on the discussion board. They then design an investigation with their understanding of mass and motion and record data from videos so that they can have that real lab experience of making observations. They'll construct an explanation and an assignment, and they will understand the science through taking and submitting notes, and I'll finally evaluate them through checkout questions. Again, you can notice that every step of this is an opportunity for feedback.